Ah, what the? Ah, take it off! Take it off!
Oh boy, it's the holiday season, and that means it's time to celebrate by watching some great Christmas specials with your friends and family. And I think it's time to talk about another very obscure holiday special this time of year. A couple of months ago, I put out my Halloween episode about Halloween is Grinch Night, a very forgotten special about the Grinch terrorizing the folks at Whoville with an evil surprise. But for Christmas, I decided to choose a film from some already pretty iconic characters represented for this holiday: Rudolph and Frosty. Yeah, we probably already know the story between these two characters. Rudolph has a shiny nose that helps guide Santa to deliver toys. Frosty is a snowman who needs to stay alive by putting a stupid magic hat on. But you probably didn't know that these two actually had their own Christmas special together. Or should I say Independence Day special? Look, this movie gets weird. Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July, everybody. Didn't think this existed in your brain, huh? Looking back at the Rankin and Bass films, there are many that flew under the radar, but most of, if not all, the Christmas films have been classics over the years. So, how come you add two of their most iconic characters into one special? Many people are clueless as to what you're talking about. And when they do remember, why is it in bad taste? You think Rudolph and Frosty would be a big hit, but sadly, their last film together did not leave a very lasting impression, and ended up being a forgotten and less favorable Christmas special. So, why is that? Let's take a look at this 90-minute special, oh my goodness, and find out why the general audience left this lonesome puddle of a movie behind in the 70s.
Hey, Frosty!
Hey, Rudolph!
So, if I'm correct, this is Frosty's first ever time as a stop-motion character. Rankin and Bass usually kept Frosty as a traditional hand-drawn character, but here he's a full-on puppet, probably to fit into the Rudolph universe. I guess this character model looks fine as is. It doesn't look too out of place from his original design. What is totally new now is Frosty has been busy! See, Frosty finds a new wife in one of his other specials named Crystal, and here they debut their two children in the special, and I guess Rudolph is their uncle for some reason?
Would you light up your nose for us, Uncle Rudolph? Just once, please? Okay.
By the way, how do Frosty and Rudolph know each other already? I mean, this is the only film both of them are together in, and they never really had a full introduction. The film pretty much opens with Frosty telling Rudolph to entertain his children out of the blue.
And this terrible tyrant's powers came from a scepter of solid ice.
Now we got a new villain for this film named Winterbolt, a wizard who caused havoc on the North Pole until this angel named, guess this, Aurora Borealis, stops his plans and puts him into a deep sleep. It's only until later when he wakes up that he notices that the angel transfers the last of her powers to a newborn Rudolph and grants him the power of his glowing nose. And this is where things get way too complicated and silly at the same time. I'm sorry, you mean to tell me that this Aurora Borealis angel is responsible for Rudolph's nose, and the only way it goes out is if Rudolph turns evil for some reason? Oh my goodness, this has to be a joke. But of course, this idiot that's our main antagonist believes this to be the case, and tries to dispose of Rudolph by turning him evil.
Next Christmas Eve, have the snow dragons create a storm of ice and fog.
Now this is actually a collaboration with Rankin and Bass and also a Japanese studio called Animagic. You might not know it, but take a real good look at these snow dragons. Look at how they move. They look a little odd, don't they? Well, I might not be 100% correct on this, but I do believe these dragons to be full-on live puppetry with their movement, and that Animagic might be at the hands of this. Honestly, it's kind of funny seeing the dragons blowing out wind and watching the puppets just blown out like lifeless dolls. I know it's not unintentionally funny, but really, this was the only enjoyment I got watching this film. So, coming back to Rudolph and Frosty, we meet a new character named Milton, an ice cream salesman who stores his ice cream in the North Pole. Milton becomes sad because he can't marry his love of his life because she's at a circus that's going to go into debt soon, and asks Rudolph and Frosty to join the circus in order to buy the circus back for the 4th of July.
How you doing, Milton?
Awful.
What a baby.
Winterbolt also shows up and offers Frosty and his family some magical amulets to keep them from melting when visiting the circus, and Santa offers to pick them up before the magic wears off. But this seems to be a problem when Winterbolt decides to create a blizzard that prevents Santa and Mrs. Claus from traveling. And here's my biggest gripe with this whole plotline. It's really dumb. You see, the whole idea is thought up by Wonderbolt himself. He uses his own magic to spread onto Milton and Santa to convince Rudolph and Frosty to join the circus. So, if this is Wonderbolt controlling their minds, why create more obstacles along the way? You literally brainwash Santa to help Frosty out with this dilemma, only to prevent that with a huge storm, and it gets more complicated with the whole circus deal as well.
All right, for crying out loud. I'll pay the rent.
You see, we're now introduced to this new character named Scratcher, a rejected reindeer who was supposed to be in Santa's crew before Rudolph shows up. With the help of him and the circus manager Sam Spangles, the trio decides to plan out their revenge to steal from the circus and make Rudolph the culprit of it all.
How would you like to work for me?
Doing what?
Destroying Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Sounds like a good job to me.
Okay, so Wonderbolt wants to turn Rudolph evil and steal his magic. Scratcher wants revenge on Rudolph for stealing his slot as Santa's reindeer. Spangles just wants the circus back. Okay, so again, what's the point of the whole blizzard prevention with Santa? There is no need to brainwash him into helping the duo only to leave him stopped by the storm. Also, what really is Frosty's purpose here? As far as we know, our villains in the story really have no quarrel with him or his family. When Milton was brainwashed, all he had to do was just ask Rudolph to join the circus, not Frosty. And Wonderbolt didn't really need to give him the amulets to prevent him from melting for a certain amount of time if he was just going to leave him to melt anyway, so brainwashing Santa makes no sense. And honestly, Wonderbolt didn't have to tell the Snowman family about the amulets being a limited time anyway. You see, the magic actually wears off after the circus lights up 100 fireworks into the sky, and then they melt. So, what was the point of telling them this danger, then sprinkling magic on Santa to say that there was nothing to worry about just to do the blizzard? Why is this whole plot so confusing? It makes no sense. Why does this exist?
Boy, this is a great job you got me, Rudolph.
So Scratcher tries to persuade Rudolph to recruit him in the circus as a helper, and lies to him that the owner of the circus, Lane Lorraine, wants him to return her suitcase of money to a sketchy police officer, who happens to be Spangles. After that whole situation, Wonderbolt returns and tells Rudolph and Frosty that Santa got lost in the blizzard, and time is running out for Frosty. But, in order to extend his lifespan, he takes away Rudolph's magic because Rudolph did a bad thing and is now evil.
You used your nose for an evil purpose.
Wait, what? Your whole operation of turning Rudolph evil didn't exactly work out really well. If anything, this was all just an uneasy persuasion by your goons to convince Rudolph to get rid of the circus money without him knowing. This does not make him an evil person. He was just trying to do a supposed good deed unaware of how fake the operation was. But of course, the plot has to keep plotting, and Rudolph's nose starts to go out in exchange for Frosty's extended lifespan. And apparently, Rudolph decides to stand with this lie of him betraying the circus in order to keep Frosty alive.
Miss Lorraine, I stole that money. What?
But like, Rudolph didn't do anything evil. It's so absurdly dumb how the story just decides to take away Rudolph's glow because they believe what Rudolph did was bad. This doesn't make any sense. And the plot just gets more confusing as Wonderbolt finds out about Frosty's own magic and decides to brainwash him through his snow globe to exchange his magical hat for Rudolph's nose to, get this, make his own snowman army. Don't you already have 2 powerful dragons in your cave? Why do you need a snowman army? You don't even know how to operate an evil scheme.
So you want to give me your hat, eh?
Only if you can turn Rudolph's nose back on.
So Frosty unwillingly loses his hat and turns into a regular snowman, leading Rudolph and Wonderbolt into a dumb chase, which leads Rudolph to retrieve the hat back and regain his powers. With the return of Frosty's hat and the money from the circus, everything looks to be back to normal. But when Wonderbolt comes back, we probably get the most anticlimactic scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, but the guns are made of iron.
I go too. I turn into a tree.
I really want to jump off a roof at this point. With Wonderbolt gone, Frosty and his family melt into puddles. Until Jack Frost shows up for some ungodly reason and turns them back to normal again.
Happy birthday!
Oh, and Santa finally shows up. Took him long enough. So Santa takes the family and Jack Frost back to the North Pole, while Rudolph stays behind to help the circus out with their debt. and then it just ends. What a waste of an hour and 30 minutes. Literally, what was the point of this whole special? It had nothing to do with Christmas or the 4th of July at all. You could erase Frosty from the whole picture and nothing would really change besides getting rid of some stupid plot points. This ice cream man was a total waste. What was his gimmick again? Oh yeah, he was sad because he couldn't marry the gunslinger's daughter. And they never really did marry at the end, so that was pretty pointless. Santa got stuck in a stupid blizzard the whole time, so that was another waste of a character. Winterbolt is probably one of the worst villains I've ever seen in my entire life. His whole plan of turning Rudolph evil makes no sense and causes the whole story to go off rails, throwing in too many pointless and unnecessary characters for filler. This special is just all over the place, and not in a good way. And sadly, this was the last time Rudolph and Frosty were ever in a Rankin and Bass special ever. Both actors reprised their roles for the characters and never returned. Funny enough, this was first a theatrical film, released to theaters, but was a box office bomb, and then got the TV special treatment. I guess audiences weren't vibing with the characters or the story. Look, these characters are very charming in their own respective movies, but plumping them all together into this disgusting behemoth of a special just doesn't work. The plot is confusing and less engaging than previous installments. I don't think the songs here are really memorable at all. They even try to bring in previous songs from other classics, and they just don't seem right here. I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe this special kinda deserves to be forgotten. I don't think this leaves a lasting impression on the normie viewer, and should probably just switch to the classics. When I reviewed the Halloween Grinch movie, there was at least a couple of memorable scenes in that special, and the atmosphere felt eerie and mysterious that fit the tone that it was trying to give. Here, everything just feels stiff and is more or less just a boring film set in winter and later in July, with no real impact whatsoever. But, of course, this is just my opinion. I may not enjoy the special, but maybe some of you watching may have a more happier experience with it. Maybe some of you have fond memories of these two growing up. So, if you actually like this film, let me know in the comments why you think that. Hope you enjoyed my little rant for this holiday special. My next video hopefully will be a ranking of all the animated movies in 2024. Don't know when it will fully come out yet, hopefully at the end of this month. But until then, please like and subscribe. I'm still a very small channel, so any pushback would be nice. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.